I'd like to call.
Testing.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's 5:32. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Not tonight.
Okay, we're going to move on to part 3, which is select board organization and rules of procedure.
Yes, so we've all received various drafts this week, and I appreciate the comments, and this is the document as presented. I did correct the typos that I found. The sections under consideration that it seemed like there were general points of discussion have been left blank to allow for participation or for the select board to discuss these things tonight and make a decision if we so choose. The 2 sections in question were the regular meeting shall take place and then blank, and public comment shall be entertained blank. If we create that and edit that, you can vote on it, sign it, and I can have it in the books officially. You can just use that.
Okay, well, let's start, if everybody's game, let's start under E meetings, but regular meetings, and we can figure out what our regular meeting schedule is going to look like. Where are people at?
Mondays are out. But other than that, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I mean, Wednesdays seem to work.
Seem to be, I mean, I have
Pretty well,
meetings
yeah.
Thursdays.
Okay, do we want to say it's going to be once a month, and we just need to figure out which Wednesday of the month to do it?
Yeah.
Want to do the end of the month, because then we can sign off on stuff.
Which one?
The last,
The last one of the month,
right?
So the 4th Wednesday.
So the 4th Wednesday of the month. It's going to be the one meeting at 5:30.
Yeah.
And that conflicts with your DRB or anything? Do you have any?
I'm not on DRB.
Okay, do you, oh, you don't, okay, so I didn't know if you still had that. Okay.
Why are you going to once a month?
more than,
Because these rules can be amended at any time.
Okay. So we want to, are people feeling good about voting on this tonight?
Yep, I am.
Okay, so if we changing E bullet 1, we're going to the fourth Wednesday of the month, and a comment will be entertained after each agenda item. Time is discretionary at this point.
Sorry to stop
that's
you.
okay.
Do we still want to leave an agenda item for public comment outside of after each agenda item? I feel like we should. Last meeting, there was a few things like concerns that Sharon had and such that didn't really fit under other agenda items that obviously we still want to hear. If we need to take action.
What do people think? Are we
I
gonna
like-
also have it be an agenda item in addition to having public comment after each agenda item?
I kind of like the idea of having right off the bat,
Doing it first,
call to order, public opinion.
okay?
If they have, of course, concerns right out of the gate that
Yeah.
aren't otherwise structured on,
Okay.
yeah. I think,
Right, that they don't have to stay for the whole meeting if they,
Okay.
Sure.
just to speak
yeah,
their concerns.
Okay, so the public comment will be entertained as the first agenda item and a discretionary time after each agenda item. Does that wording work for everybody?
Yes.
that's right.
Okay, so I will make a motion to approve the new rules of procedure.
Second.
Third,
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes.
These are not the official forms. You will make the official form, or are we signing these, making them the
You can
official?
sign those. I will.
We just signed them all.
Just one of them, correct?
We just need one.
all right, who's got the best handwriting?
She does.
No, I
She-
don't.
I'm voting her.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
I wrote it scribbled on mine.
I have it written on mine, but I don't have it.
Oh, sorry.
These will also get posted back there.
Okay. And the website as well.
And the
right?
website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you, Joe. Thank you.
I went through it. I just didn't know if we had physical.
I know, I started a bad trend of putting, I can't follow directions. I signed, I where it said printed, printed where it said signed.
Yeah, I've been including that on signable items.
It's just fine, I just didn't see it, so I just started scribbling.
I'll make sure. And these do have to be readopted annually. And I mean, you can amend them at any time, but they have to be readopted annually, ideally. So they'll be presented before you basically at the anniversary of the state.
Okay.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 4, the approval of minutes from May 28th.
Everyone, oh, sorry,
No.
do you want to immediately adopt them and? Oh,
Yeah, no, I think we should.
Everyone got a copy of these minutes?
Yep, I reviewed those
Yeah,
earlier.
chance for you.
You have a comment? Kathy?
I have corrections on the minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm just curious why in some places on votes taken by the board, it's listed as 4-0, and then in other places it's listed as 5-0. When there are 5
Reese
members.
was attending remotely and did vote on it.
Which is correct. I couldn't hear all the items. I didn't want to vote on something that I
And
couldn't
then,
explicitly hear as well.
on item 10B, where it says the $500 was for an unlimited amount of dogs, that's not correct. It's what's voted on in organizations ask for money. And that's what we
Yes.
homeward bound asked for was $500. It's not necessarily what we paid to take
Yeah.
dogs to the shelter.
So it's actually two separate items. They send out an annual mailing to all the towns, asking for us to pledge support as a,
Sending down, so to speak.
yeah, exactly. Separate from that, there is a contract that was sent, for me to sign as dog warden. And that is if I collect a dog or some animal of any nature, I guess. I can't imagine bringing a cow down there, but anyways, we can bring an unlimited number down and not pay per animal. Now, I have reached out to them 2 separate times since that meeting, and I'm not sure if someone's out of office. I have not received a response on that. So I don't have an updated contract to bring to the select board tonight. I'm waiting for them to get back to me in a response and see if we could switch to a per animal fee that would be pushed back on the owner.
Well, my concern is just the way it reads. It's $500 for an unlimited amount of dogs. And that's not true.
That's what the
Well,
con.
that's what the contract
The
is.
contract is.
Well,
Yeah.
that must be in addition to the 500
Yes.
that you donated.
It
That's
is.
what we were talking
I
about.
think it needs to read that. It's not really what was said. Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Anybody have any other questions about the minutes?
I don't see anybody else in
No.
this.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes the way they are.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, CT updates. When you're ready, Kyle. Thank you.
The grant list has been lodged. Ailey lodged it late last week, I should say. It's a pretty small change, relatively speaking, from the reappraisal. The town stands at about 180 million, up from 177 million last year. So, that will help us in the sense that it's a bigger denominator for our tax rate calculations, which is great. The few properties that did actually receive a change in notice have received their change in notices, and folks are welcome. The agreement period is open. It's open now. Hearings are scheduled for the 18th of June, and folks can reach out to myself or Ailey to schedule a hearing to read the reappraisal for the dozen or so properties that received the reappraisal. I don't know if anyone saw the BT Digger article about the utilities valuation. It was pretty nasty. Unfortunately, a lot of towns are experiencing. Basically, the state has the authority now to value the utility properties in each town to choose the valuations. Whereas before, there was some input from the town, there was some input from the utilities themselves, all that stuff. Most towns are seeing a pretty significant decrease in the valuation of the parcels connected to, but owned by the utility companies. Canton is not one of them. Canton's valuation actually for the utility here in Canton for Green Mountain Power, their value of parcels actually went up $7 million, which is great. So that really helps us also. In addition, it brings that grant list number up. So yeah, this is great. If we plug these numbers, and these are again just estimates because we haven't finished all grievances, we haven't finished the actual lodging the grant, the actual whole period of time. But if we plug those numbers into the calculator right now for the tax rate, given the budget that we're looking for, we'd be reducing the tax rate by about 9%. So, and that's a combination, obviously, of the request for less money from the budget number, but also the increase in value of the grants. So, it would come down about 9%, just the municipal, not the school rate, which is also scheduled to come down. So folks may see between 9 and 15% perhaps in terms of rate drop in terms of their taxes. So that's, you know, again, estimate only, no, I'm not swearing to any of those
It's
numbers.
going in the right direction.
Yeah, it's going in the right direction. The FEMA grant was obligated to the state on May 22nd. The amount, the 75% of the total amount we asked for and all that was obligated to the state on May 22nd, 6 to 8 weeks. So we're very, very hopeful. It's still like rolling and moving. We're very, very hopeful. The chart of accounts for the town has been kind of a source of frustration of mine since I started, and folks who else in the town who actually kind of looks at the chart of accounts. The chart of accounts is the way that we internally account for things, assign account numbers, assign track expenses and revenues, assets and liabilities, all those things. I originally had set out to kind of maybe tweak it. It looks like it's going to be a total rebuild. And I have the blessing of our auditor, I have the blessing of the LCT, I have the blessing of our fee accountant to do this, and I've been working closely with Melissa to redo this chart of accounts based on best practices from the audit, kind of financial statement, creation of buckets. I'll have more of a report at the next select board meeting before the end of the fiscal year. Our goal is to implement this before the end of at the fiscal year change. Basically, it will be backwards compatible, so it will appear as though it's always been that way, which is great. But it's going to be a really nice change for our internal accounting. It's going to make a lot of really positive benefits.
Do you need a motion or anything on that, guys?
No,
You good? Okay.
no, it's the auditor wanted me to let you know, but it is kind of in the treasurer's wheelhouse to be able to.
Sure,
Make those
absolutely.
kind of changes. Nothing is going to change substantially.
Can I just?
Yeah.
Did you just say there's not, as of right now, there's not going to be another select board meeting before the end of the fiscal year? Is that what you?
Oh, I guess that is true.
That is true, you're right.
I was gonna bring that up. Should we have one more meeting?
I do think we should have one more meeting before the end of the fiscal year. That way I'll be able to give you the budget actuals for the total year and all that. So I think that the 25th should still probably stay on the agenda. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Kathy.
If the select board finds that agreeable.
Yep.
The vendor list for the town is also being updated. It's kind of part of that project. The vendor list has been kind of a mess, and so we're updating it. We're going to an alphanumeric vendor list. So vendors are going to be assigned numbers, which is going to be much easier for us to track internally. It's going to be able to, our drawer is going to look so much cleaner. And we're working again with Nemrick on that to make sure that everything's good. But it looks that's going to be a much easier process. The passive grant that we applied for several weeks ago was received. The money was compensated. The drill press and the framework were purchased. They will be installed in the town hall. The drill presses are installed in the garage. The town hall will get the cameras as soon as I get a chance to get my ladder over here and install them. Rick Places is here, the town tree warden, and I just wonder if you would speak, just have we confirmed with Bill from Valencourt on the date?
Nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you, Rick.
Thank you for coming in.
Honestly, it's confusing. I've been trying to build down for home. And he is assistant, and said he's returned his calls and stuff. I just talked to Rick for half an hour. So clearly.
Two Ricks, I guess.
I'm calling him, he's speaking on the other Rick. And so I tried to call Rick to confirm this today. And so I'm going in a circle, but I have no reason to believe it's not taking place next week.
Great.
So,
And that was going to be the 18th of June, with all the caveats of them looking for the, you know, they're high grading or low grading the trees to take the most vulnerable trees first. They're looking for birds' nests. They're paying attention to environmental conditions. They're not just kind of clear cutting. They're going to be very selective about this. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. So Rick is Street, Green Mountain Power, and thankfully Rick was on it. I got on it that night. Rick Butcher was on it that night, and thankfully to the friends and neighbors down there, including the Worsted Farm team, helped clear that tree off the road and take care of it. Green Mountain Power came and cut the rest of the tree down the other day. Preparations for the fiscal year are continuing. Fiscal year end are continuing. The office will be closed. The town office will be closed on June 26th to prepare for the transition. It's the last Thursday before the Monday of June 30th. We're not going to probably close right at June 30th. We're going to close around there, just make sure we have all our ducks in a row. But there's quite a bit of turnover just physically in terms of binders and stuff. turn it over and get set. So we're gonna close on Thursday just to take care of that. And the open meeting law, part of the website has been fixed. It links to the state law. It was always linking to the state law, but now it links to the state law in a different place. It also includes a grievance form for folks to use if they feel that open meeting law has been abused in some way. It also includes a VLCT FAQ to open meeting law that folks are welcome to read. It puts it into more readable language. Additionally, the state of Vermont, in its most recent, the legislature of the state of Vermont just updated the open meeting law and included some changes to open meeting law, which I will. Oh, right here. Let's see. So several of the changes are that the requirement to record and post recordings of meetings of local public bodies must be posted for 30 days following the posting of the meeting minutes for a meeting. It was, I think, a much longer period of time, so it's only for 30 days. We're on YouTube, so we don't really care. Let them store it for us for free, so it'll be up there forever. There are exemptions for executive session now to discuss cybersecurity, if the need be, and also for the discussion of business information relating to interest rates for publicly financed loans set by state bodies. So you can discuss, just like real estate transactions, the idea being that you want to protect discussions of interest rates in case you were dealing with multiple, offers, and you want to protect that business discussion. It also strengthens the definition of disorderly conduct as used in the open meeting law to include conduct that causes an assembly or meeting to terminate prematurely, or consists of numerous and sustained efforts to disrupt an assembly or meeting after being asked to desist. So those are the updates of open meeting law. And last on my item is one of those grants that I mistakenly applied for several weeks ago without the select board prior approval, and we changed the grant policies to accommodate that has borne fruit. The Ben and Jerry's Foundation has given us a basically no strings attached grant of $500 to improve the park, the little park over there. We're going to use that to buy some curbs to prevent erosion. And their requirement is basically they want a brief report describing how the program is progressing, what impact the contribution had on it. And that's the reporting requirement as far as they're concerned. So we will purchase those curbs and we will install them, and it'll be great. Dave Chase was just complaining that the mulch and things were just flowing off the side of the hill, and so it's nice now that we install those curbs on someone else's.
It's on the other side of,
Yeah, it's over by the
across from the old store.
across from the so that is it for clerk treasurer updates.
Yes, Kathy.
Is there an audit report?
Not yet. No, unfortunately, the audit report is still held up. We are getting our adjusting entries. That way we can do the adjusting entries before the end of the fiscal year and not have to worry about journaling them back in. Also, we can do them with the existing chart of accounts that we have set up. And I think that's but she said that, so we can do it with our existing chart of accounts so that there's no confusion. And that way we're prepared to close if necessary, but we'll wait for the audit report. They still promised us before the end of June. There's a lot of towns in this position. We attended an Emmerich training for fiscal year end last week. And Emmerich, because there's so many towns waiting for their audit for fiscal 24, they actually included a checkbox now in the fiscal year end procedure. So you can't close unless you confirm that you had an audit that is complete, because there's so many towns in this realm of having delayed audits. So
how many delinquent taxes do you have?
how many delinquent taxes? The town stands about $30,000 in delinquent taxes right now. So we came down, we started the year, May 2nd, we had 130 some odd thousand in delinquent taxes, so we collected about 100,000, got 30,000 more to go. Somewhere in that neighborhood.
Trending in the right direction.
Yeah, Barb Fleming has been great, as usual. She's a fantastic delinquent tax collector. She's working with people, things are good in that regard. We're hopeful that it's going to come down even more.
Awesome. All right, thank you for that. All right, the agenda item number 6 is the Reserve Fund Planning Committee.
Yes, so Steve Weber mentioned at last meeting and then came to the office and had a great discussion about reserve fund planning.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. we have heard you, it's just kind of, you know, appreciate that.
So the idea is that several residents, not just Steve, but Steve primarily, have expressed an interest in creating a plan for reserve funds that will help offset tax increases in the future. Right now, the reserve funds, and this was something I was going to propose to the select board as we get closer to the next town meeting. I want to develop a clear set of definitions for the reserve funds because a lot of them don't really have that. And the tire fund is pretty self-explanatory, you know, it's just tires. But does the reserve fund, the highway capital equipment fund, does it only cover the purchase of equipment, or does it maybe cover the maintenance? Or what if it was massive maintenance of an engine needed to be replaced or something like that? So my goal working with this committee would be to not only develop a plan for how those reserve funds can be used to offset tax increases, but also develop those definitions with a group of folks to try and come up with a generally, agreed upon, this is what the fund should be used for kind of definition, to present before voters, because that would have to be a voted on thing at town meeting and a ballot, to present to voters. So, yeah, I don't know if Steve wants to.
No, anything to add? I was just.
At some point, I mean, I'm happy to help with this, and it's a multi-step process to come up with a good plan. At some point, the select board is gonna have to decide at what level they want these things funded. I mean, there's a sliding scale from having them fully funded so that every anticipated expenditure when it comes due, there's money in the account to pay for it. And there's, the other end of the scale is you don't have reserve funds at all, so you just, spend the money and pay down the loan. So, at some point, the board's gonna have to decide what level they want these funds funded at, so that we can then come up with a plan to have annual appropriations going into those funds that meets that goal. And there's a variety of ways of doing it, but really need to have a discussion with the principal of whoever is kind of in charge of that fund, whether it be Lakewood Highway Equipment or paving or whatever, have a good, thorough discussion with them to identify what those future expenditures are going to be. And that can be a multi-step process as well. I mean, you end up initially often getting a list of wants, and then you gotta pare that down to what the needs are, and you gotta look at it again and say, how much can we afford? And so there's several steps in the process. It takes time. This is a really good time to be starting this. And, from my perspective, it's really important that there be a select board member on that working group to give it legitimacy and allows us to have those discussions with whoever the principal is for this fund or that fund.
So, in terms of, like, this is something that's interesting to me. So in terms of meeting, does it have to be like at 5:30, or could we meet during the workday, or is it completely discretionary based on it?
Anytime it makes sense.
Because the way my schedule's shifting, like I have a couple of weekdays, and I prefer to meet, in the morning when I'm actually have brain cells that still work.
I mean, this wouldn't have to be something the whole select board would have to participate.
Right.
This could be one member or two members,
So-
or whoever's interested, really.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested in doing that on a Wednesday or Thursday morning, and seeing if we can pull together a small group of people who could come in and do some of that work maybe once a month and try to figure it out, or twice a month until we kind of get our feet underneath this.
Yeah, and that budget committee, that volunteer budget committee that we made some recommendations on the reserve funds without having all the information that we would need to do that properly. So, there's others from that committee from last year that may be interested. We don't need to have 10 people doing this. We need
Feed it into the narrative.
So how do we want to?
We want to authorize a committee and then work out the logistics on it, or what?
Or do we have to, don't we have to work out the logistics and then authorize the committee? Who makes the rules?
Well, I mean, I would say that we would want probably either the select board member or myself to chair the committee. It would be probably, between 5 and 8 people. It would probably meet twice a month. It would have a set of goals that would be, kind of outlined. And then it would, try to meet those goals, basically.
Would the committee make those goals and give it to the select board to approve?
They could, yeah. So I guess in that sense, it would, put the cart before the horse in the sense of who's gonna form first and all that stuff. So I mean, maybe I take the next 2 weeks, or by the next meeting, we have gauged interest from folks who want to participate, maybe Steve.
Right
reach
out
out to
on
some
the
folks.
Yeah.
And then we could have an emailing list and say, okay, we have, 8 or 10 people who are interested in doing this. Everyone seems to agree upon this date. This is the general principle, and then here's some of the things that we can email back and forth, and then the select board can authorize it at the next meeting and go forward with that.
Okay, so then the action item would be to authorize a committee to be formed to look at the reserve fund planning.
Okay, I will make a motion that the select board authorize the formation of a reserve fund planning committee.
Second.
All in favor?
That is going to be go out to townspeople.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'll post on Front Porch Forum, I'll put it on the town website, I will.
Have an email server.
Do, a lot of folks don't like that. I heard a lot of people say that they don't want to participate in that, so, I can try. I think that you probably know, and the folks who participated in the citizen budget committee would probably be a great place to start, since they had a real high level of engagement during the process. So, I think those folks would be probably really good.
Okay. Sounds like a good place to start. Hey, is there any other business at this time?
There is no other business.
Agenda item 9 is, 8, I'm sorry, is public comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Kathy?
When is the culvert project going to start? I have another one. I don't know if you want one at a time. or-
Jeff? when is the-
July 8th is the tentative date right now. We're looking to get the large digital signs, like the highway signs that you see all over the place. They're gonna be posted, on Basin Harbor Road, or on Canton Road, excuse me, probably up by the Virgins line, maybe a little bit further, and then probably back to the intersection of Basin Harbor Road to let people know the dates. The road is, we're hoping it's just gonna be 2 days. I think it's just gonna be 2 days. Actor said 1. We fudged, we put a little fudge factor in there. But Vermont State Police are aware, Transcan Water District are aware, Madison County Sheriffs are aware. Not gonna have any flaggers because the whole thing is just gonna be blocked off, basically, because the trucks are just gonna be going in and
And
out.
I think Rescue should be included as well.
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Rick's taking care of the notifications, and I think that in the fire department as well. So,
Okay, go ahead.
Any updates on the town boundaries?
no, not yet.
Any other public comment? Melissa?
I guess you don't have a budget after report yet.
I don't, yeah. We're still, I was waiting on the reconciliation from Becky in May, so that I was most accurate data, so I'm not accepting you to go until it gets reconciled. So that way it keeps it clean, and we're putting the correct transactions in the correct places. Generally speaking, we're tapped out, for this year, budget year. We were at 98% pretty much. The money's been allocated to the reserve funds, the last payrolls in the system. The second to last payroll, I should say, the FEMA money's not gonna come in until next year, fiscal year.
Right.
Fiscal year. And so, yeah, we're tapped out, and we're probably gonna be in deficit in terms of that because of those expenditures that we had. We didn't have enough offset revenue to cover us. I will have the full, that's why I think the June 25th meeting is really good, because I'll be able to give you absolutely, now, come hell or high water, I will absolutely give you what I have for data, just to keep clean. Nemrick does this period by period. The period is a month basically, and so to keep a clean period in between the months, we don't accept, you know, we try to do all our business that's in 1 month and then reconcile our bank accounts and make sure it's accurate. And then if that reconciliation is done yet because of various or some complications or something like that, then we wait and to accept anything new into the general ledger. And so the general ledger won't show an accurate figure until that month, previous month has been reconciled to be sure that May is accurate. And that way going forward, the stuff in June is going to be reflected, or at least an accurate starting number. So that's why I wait on those, and you know, I want to get faster on it, and it has been getting faster, but we had a pretty big delay in March, April that really slowed us down. So it was a mistake, completely on my mistake, you know, I learned very quickly about it, so, and thoroughly.
One more question, just actually to ask the board is, like, how committed is each board member to having an actual standing in your budget? Like, what is your feeling about being on budget versus over or like managing it?
Mhm.
And what exactly, like, yes, we're gonna be on, or, you know, it's wishy-washy, it's like, I mean, what are your thoughts about?
Personally, I think that one of the hardest things to do is to write a good budget, right? Because you're trying to anticipate things as yet unknown. I would, moving forward, as we get the monthly budget statements and we're able to see where we are in terms of percentage of expenditures thus far into the fiscal year, would like to see us be able to examine places where we're really close to being maxed out too early in the year, being able to look at those line items and maybe looking at cutting something, because I think trying to stay really close to a budget is really important. That being said, I also think there are times when it's impossible to do that. So, you know, I'm committed, you know, to writing a good budget and trying to stay within the budget, acknowledging things are out of
No, I second Teresa. Again, would like to be as close as possible, and make sure we're utilizing every possible resource we can to do that. It's one of the reasons I like the idea of, you know, reserve funds and such for unforeseen circumstances coming up, that we may have to shoulder.
Just the same thing, basically. We got to stay within our budget. We can't go over that, shouldn't. And we definitely need a little slush fund for leaky roofs and broken things.
I agree, being on budget is very important, but you know, there's gonna be situations that might arise where we can't be.
Jackie?
I still haven't seen on any of the agenda items and stuff, the health insurance questions, debate, about changing health plans and changing the way that you pay them out. I mean, right now you're at 100% employee paid for health insurance, when most other places are 80-20. I haven't heard any discussion about it at all from the select board.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else? Okay, let's do the AP and payroll warrants, please.
Thank you, Steve.
Yes, thank you.
Recognition too, we got the better roads. $15,000.
Great.
Grant money's poor next, but grant money's poor.
That's awesome.
Just came in today, that's why it wasn't on mine.
Hundred and 107 miles for sheriff patrol. Does that seem like a lot? Or is that down, but not really?
Be a great question.
That's fair.
So this is what we pay out.
Yeah, no, I guess you're- true. That's true. Right, exactly. I should,
That's pay period.
Okay.
Yeah.
Per month or
tell
2
where my
weeks?
Keurig
Go
is
to the
located
last
in case I
page.
get picked up.
Right, but is it 2 weeks or?
2 weeks, yep.
Okay.
Friday to Saturday.
Okay.
And we go to the last
I don't
page.
have.
Not to skip, you can of course go back and review it, but I'll just show you on the last page.
Like the last page of the whole
No,
thing?
no, the last page is this guy. These are the totals,
Oh, okay.
and then the breakdown of what each thing is.
Okay.
Some of the fringe benefits are related to these are insurances, so the big one is Beamers, and then the smaller ones are health insurances, life insurances, things like that. You've got taxes down here, childcare contribution, withholding, our contribution for those things.
Robert,
Is it come back this way for signature?
I am verified.
You just gotta do that.
No, I just wasn't sure if there was one set off to the side or not.
Not yet. This is kind of amazing.
So for the document, for the allocation, the lot was run by
The town hall, it has 200 gallon LP tank for that meeting. And the garage has a LP.
and that's how much it is per month?
No, so you might have been looking at the.
No, I thought
You
it
were
was
looking at the
all,
LP?
yeah.
Yeah, we've been having some, that might have been at least a couple of months because they've been really, attendance is really difficult to do. We've been working on it. But yeah, I mean, it might actually come down because I think that we've overpaid it. They've not confirmed it yet. And they're just I don't know why. Their billing is not clear. They were billing us incorrectly. So they were billing the town hall for everything first, and then they were splitting up.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. So I'm on it. Like I talked to Jack at least twice in the last week, and Don probably half a dozen times.
Because that seems like a lot
It is a
for
lot.
a month of not having to really, I mean, sure, it's been a little bit cold, but.
Well, that might have been refilling the tank after.
Check to see if you signed that already. I don't think you did.
Stop making me take my glasses out. Mm, I'm sorry.
No, I did.
Oh,
I'm good. She's right.
Sign your time. Understand the blue envelope or the blue folder. Thanks for keeping us on our toes, Kathy.
It's not a closed story as far as I'm concerned.
Want to say that the meeting is officially still open.
No, well, no, we're still open and we have
No,
an
no,
executive.
I'm just saying is that I will not entertain a change in health insurance at this point.
We have an executive session to discuss some HR stuff. Yeah.
You guys do pre-buy options with Jackman as well?
Yes, the contract runs from August to May, it's 10 months. So we won't get the contract again until August. But their pre-buy is also not great, and so we need to change. We need to change the whole relationship that we have with them. It's just, it's not been well managed for us, so.
Who are you dealing with there? Lori? Nick? No,
There's a guy,
Jesse or?
Jesse.
Jesse?
Yeah,
He's
and
not
he-
being helpful?
Jesse's super helpful. The other person there is much less helpful.
A female or male? Hillary, it would be. Yeah, I would just.
Jesse's been
just
awesome.
with Jesse.
Jesse's,
Just tell him straight up that you want to deal with him.
Thank you.
How often do we shop around for stuff that's cheaper? I'm just curious.
Anytime that I mean, I'll be happy to do it. What do you want, what particularly?
I did this for another organization as well. Just start looking.
Yeah.
And that's what, just flickering through here, like I pay like $800 a year for trash and recycle. Do we need a 2-yard dumpster? Because that could drop it from going from
Paying 134.
134 a month. I'm paying
With a 1 month pickup or
every month and 2-week recycle.
like how often do they pick up this dumpster?
1 month dumpster, 2-week recycle.
Okay, so I'm paying 80
Me too.
or 90, maybe 90 for 1 month.
No, let's do it. Talk to me. That's a good point, and I will make that note. We can, and I'm happy to.
Who
do
is it?
Hacker.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I'm using Casella.
yeah, we might go this one cheaper, but we can talk, Rick and I can talk about that too.
Cool.
You saw the bids I got.
Was that?
You saw the bids I got.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hacker was the cheapest.
No, for trash.
Oh, trash?
Yeah.
We went with Hacker because they were the cheapest at the time, but now
Okay. Yeah. I'll re-examine that. I'm fine to re-examine it. There's a couple of things like that I want to re-examine, so I'm fine doing it. And this was a great time.
All right, I would like to make a motion to approve the AP warrant payroll.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
I
Aye.
Okay, and I would like to move us into an executive session. Make a
So.
motion to move us into executive session, please.
Inviting.
Inviting Kyle and Jeff and Rick, thank you for coming.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to come out of executive session.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I can't remember what the motion's supposed to be. Make a motion to rewrite the personnel policy to be discussed next week and finalized. Did I make that as a motion? That's a motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there any other business? Great, I make a motion to adjourn at 7:05.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you, gentlemen.
thank you. Thanks for coming on. I think we can do this better. This whole